everybody. Welcome back. Today is a Sporting Blizzard podcast. Well, as you just heard, I got interrupted in my intro, but here he is. Here's my father, Tony. Say hello to everyone, Tony.
How's everybody doing tonight?
Uh, we have some stuff to talk about. We have Commanders Vikings, which was a fun slop fest, is the best way I'll describe it. We have some coaches that should be fired and retained. Also, he wants to share some of his thoughts on Jim Irsay and the Colts hiring Jeff Saturday, and we got our picks for this week. But let's kick it off. What were your thoughts on Vikings versus Commanders?
Actually, I thought it was a pretty good game. I mean, it's kind of funny when you watch power rankings and everything else this year. The Vikings aren't getting much respect, but I'd say that their offensive mentality is a lot tougher than what it has been in the past. Their defense has always had that Mike Zimmerman mentality, but I just don't think that their offense has really shown it. And this year they definitely have a toughness. I think the acquisition for the tight end, TJ, it's amazing. You could see just how well he fit into that system, and going down the seam like that, it opened up Jefferson a lot better, I think. So I think that they have a lot of things to be left unsaid or left said, so that they're going to be there at the end of the season. I just really think that. And at this point in time, I think you and I can be touting the fact that we had picked them to win the division this year, and it's looking pretty darn good at this point.
I expected to be a bigger fight between them and the Packers. With what's going on in Green Bay, I did not see coming.
No, I don't think anybody did. Honestly, their defense has played okay, but they're just getting decimated by injuries. Their offense, you thought, would be better than it is, just because last year they were running the ball well. Their offensive line is not doing well, and Aaron Rodgers is just, I guess his hands hurt, but he's just not reading the field like Aaron Rodgers normally does.
He's playing hero ball too much. It's the end of the day. He is playing. And Packers fans, I'm just going to say it. I'm a Steelers fan. I went through this. He is starting to look like older Ben Roethlisberger. Now, his arm is still better than Ben's was, mostly because he hasn't had the surgery that Ben did on his elbow. But he hasn't come to grips that his body's getting older. It's not as easy to play hero ball.
I disagree with the hero ball concept. I just think that he doesn't have the players that he used to rely on. I mean, those flips and things that he's always done, they're just not there anymore. And he's so used to it. I mean, you know how that old adage, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Well, he's trying to teach himself how to play with these new players, and it's just not working. And the stuff that he's used to be able to do with other players, he just doesn't have right now. The only one that really seems to work for him is Jones, and he went out in this past game. So I wouldn't call it hero ball. I just say that they're just in a funk. He doesn't have the players that he used to have, and let's face it, he's a diva. He's not willing to give an inch. He expects it to be done his way, and that's about it.
Yeah. Notice we're supposed to talk about Vikings Commanders, and we spent a little bit talking about the Packers train wreck. I'm sure Vikings fans don't mind the trash talk of Packers. But there was one player that really took my eye away, and I want to know if he crafts your vision as well. Za'Darius Smith looked awesome.
Yeah, you can't double him right now because
Danielle Hunter.
Then you're leaving Danielle, and they've been getting pressure from the inside too. Now let's face it, Washington's offensive line isn't the best, but they were dynamic, and I think that defense in general is pretty darn good. I mean, I had mentioned earlier that I really like that DB Evans, the rookie. He is really impressive. He tackles well. He was in on a lot of pass breakups. He was just all over the field, and he seems to have a nose for the football. So that's pretty impressive. Then you have Smith, who just picks the ball off. I love Taylor Heineke just because he's got a lot of moxie, and He makes the game very interesting, but he's not the future there. He's better than Carson Wentz, but he's still not the future. I would really like to see them bring in the rookie, see what he can do. You know, let's face it, in the preseason, we saw him make some pretty exciting plays, and he still had some exciting mess ups too. So I don't think that their brand of ball would be halted too much. I know the fans absolutely love Heineke. Did you hear the stadium chanting him?
Heineke is becoming a cult-like hero there, and guess what?
Yeah.
He is the perfect backup quarterback, and you could argue he's their best starter right now. It's pretty hard to argue against it. I only thought he made one really bad play, and that was the pick by Harrison Smith. You take that out of the game, I definitely see them winning. Here's the thing with Washington that was my biggest takeaway. This is a team that's a quarterback away from contending. And I know that's crazy to say. They're really good. And Heineke is solid. He's playing like Alex Smith did when they won the division title. Not making mistakes, not doing a whole lot, but keeping everything contained and letting the defense go to work. Big surprise, Ron Rivera is great at coaching defense. I know, it's a miracle.
I cannot compare Heineke to Alex Smith. They are not even in the same hemisphere.
Well,
talent-wise.
We're talking about Alex Smith coming off his leg injury where he was extremely limited.
He still reads the field better. He still throws a better ball.
Which is why I'm still saying this. He is playing the way. Alex Smith was a better quarterback for the way they want to play like that, but Heineke is a suitable replacement until they find the next guy. That being said, who could be the next guy? Well, maybe you look at, oh my god, I'm blanking on his name. It just Tyrod Taylor. You bring in Tyrod Taylor next year. Do you think this team is better?
Definitely.
Like, there are quarterbacks you can bring in. And listen, it's very possible they go with a rookie. It's very possible they use their first round pick on a rookie because there's not a lot of holes in this team. It's a very good team. They just lack a quarterback.
Well, but they have a rookie on their roster right now, a rookie quarterback that had a pretty good preseason. And, I'd say before you go, wasting a draft pick, I honestly think you got to kind of see what the kid's got. So, I mean, Howell's a prototypical size and, 220 pounds, he's big. He moves well. He throws a pretty good ball. So I thought of all the quarterbacks in the preseason, I thought he played the best of the rookies. So.
Well, here are their next 4 games. You got the Eagles on Monday night this week. You're not going to play a rookie then. You're not saying to the Wolves in Philadelphia. You're at Houston next week. That's plausible. You have the Falcons coming to town. That's not a bad idea. Who knows? Maybe they're starting their own rookie quarterback then. Then you go to New York to play the Giants. Then you have a bye week, and you play the Giants in Washington. There'd just be one game that I'd be really concerned about here at the back half of their schedule and putting a rookie quarterback out there, the 49ers.
Yeah, but if he's got a few games under his belt, at least you can see how he responds to adversity. Adversity, because let's face it, those are adverse conditions. So, but I think, like you said, this team is just a couple players away. They really need help on their offensive line, and they need a quarterback. They've got receivers. They're doing all this on the defensive line, and they still don't have Chase Young out there yet.
Which is terrifying.
When he comes back later this year, that's going to be pretty darn impressive. I think that defense will get even scarier. But on the offensive side, you and I will disagree with Heineke. He's a good game manager, but he doesn't read the field all that well. He waits way too long. There was a play in particular when he is running out to his right-hand side, and the tight end is about 5 yards downfield, and he's waving him down. And instead of throwing that and getting the reception and picking up yardage, he throws the ball away. And that tight end was wide open. And that's where he makes a lot of his errors because he doesn't see the field. He wants to throw just to who he wants to throw to. And so he doesn't go down the list to pick up his options.
Yeah. And I don't want to take all this time talking about Washington. I'd like to focus on the Vikings and mainly Christian Darrisaw, who I just found out today, and I found this out before I watched the game. He's only averaging 1 pressure a game.
He's pretty good.
How did people take offensive linemen before him is my question.
You were not that high on Darrisaw either.
No, but I was full on board with the Steelers taking him. My thoughts on Darrisaw was he'd be a good NFL tackle. I didn't think he'd be elite. He is elite this year. He's one of the best tackles in the game.
It just takes time to develop. And if you think about it, they don't hold the ball very long. They get the ball out of their hands pretty quick, so you're not going to be under pressure.
Well, my takeaway would be Virginia Tech's offense did no one's favors when he was there because Hendon Hooker, the quarterback at the time, is now lighting the world on fire at Tennessee, and it's probably going to be a decently high pick. I know he'll be 25, but look at him this year. He's at minimum a third-round pick. This team is loaded, and the Vikings can go on a run. I'm worried about how many close games they play because it just takes one in the playoffs. It doesn't go your way, and you're out. But they have a talent on defense. Kirk Cousins is playing some of the best football of his career, in my opinion. They have one of the best running backs in the game. Their O-line is good. TJ Hawkinson makes them so much more versatile. And they have the best wide receiver in the game in Justin Jefferson. Yes, I said that.
I think one of the things that they did by bringing in Hawkinson is they're addressing that. Because like I said, he goes down the seam. Now the safeties can't come over and double out on either Thielen or Jefferson. So I think their offense.
Or Jalen Reagor. Do not forget about Jalen Reagor. I couldn't say that with a straight face.
With that, let's move on.
So let's do this thing. We each have 2 coaches that should be fired and that should be retained. Now, these are our own personal opinions, but I want to start out with who is the first coach you want to send to the gallows? Who do you want to see get cut?
Brandon Staley.
Ooh, considered him. But why would you like to see them get rid of Brandon Staley? And who's a possible guy you'd like to see come in and take his place?
I just don't think that he's ready. He makes too many gambles that don't pay off. That team, that roster is absolutely loaded. But his coaching style hasn't really changed. You know, when you have an offensive line that's decimated like they are right now, and you have a quarterback that's got bad ribs, why would you continually drop back and hold the ball? You have to design plays and play to your players' strengths, right? As a coach, you don't coach them the way you want them to be. You coach them to their strengths, right? And I don't think he does that. He's very limited in what he wants to do. He wants to do this, and I don't like him. So far as
harsh.
I'm sorry, I just don't like him. I didn't like I didn't like it when he first came in. I thought it was a bad decision to do, but so far as somebody that I think that could come in and be marketably better, everybody could say, Sean Payton. Of course, that's a no-brainer. But I honestly think that now, the offensive coordinator for Buffalo is going to be getting looks.
Ken Dorsey.
I think he'll be getting some looks, and he's done well. You want somebody that's going to help develop Herbert and play to his strengths. So, like I said, I think he needs to go. I honestly don't. I wouldn't keep him for the rest of the year. I would just get rid of him, cut, and that way, you know, that way you can start like addressing, and so that later on down the road you've got first come first serve for people that want to come and play with your team because they're so loaded. That's a destination spot. It's not San Diego. It's LA. Weather's always nice. The team is loaded. That's a destination spot. That would be destination spot number one, really, for any of the teams that should be getting rid of their head coaches.
Now, my number one, and I've complained about this guy a while, and to the point, I decided next week there's going to be his own special video about why I think this guy needs to be gone. Cliff Kingsbury. This Cardinals team's a train wreck. I've been hammering the table since the start of the year. He needs to go. And who do I think they're going to hire to replace him, even though it's not what I would do? I bet you they're going to hire Sean Payton. Why do I think that? This front office and ownership wants to splash. Mainly the ownership. He thinks this team is one thing away, and they're going to think it's Sean Payton. It ain't. There's a lot of holes in this team, and it's very clear that coaching has left them behind. Now, who would I hire? I like what you said in Ken Dorsey in Buffalo, but this team needs a culture shift. There is one guy that should be on the top of everyone's list for head coaches, DeMeco Ryans. You need to get him in there, and you need to change this culture. If Kyler doesn't like it, you kick him to the curb. And yes, you just paid him a lot of money. He's going to do more damage to your team right now if he doesn't knock it off this attitude. But
he's doing more damage to the team anyway.
He is, but I don't want to talk too much about this because, like I said, I'm making a video next week. Come check that out. I'm going to go into in-depth of why I'm anti-Cliff Kingsbury. But who is a coach you would like to see retained?
Sean McVay. And that hurts to say.
Wait, there are people calling for his head?
Yeah.
My brain can't comprehend that.
Because they just won a Super Bowl last year and they're struggling this year. And so teams just are, or the fans are spoiled and they want to see a winner. And yeah. And they have done things completely different from the normal NFL style. They've traded away how many first round picks in a row? The heck, they tried to do it again this year. And really,
no, they don't have their first round pick this year. That's still
no. They tried to trade their 2024, 2025 for Burns.
I have said this for a while. I question Les Seed as a GM. He won the Super Bowl, so he's never going to be seen that like. He had a very all in, and as soon as that's out, you're hitting bankrupt, and they're hitting bankrupt right now.
I just think that they're paying their marquee players so much that they can't bring in quality depth. I mean, let's face it, with what they're paying, 3 players, it's insane. And, you can't bring in the depth that you can't, because there were offensive linemen in free agency that they could have brought in, but they didn't. And that's their biggest hole as far as I'm concerned. They could have looked at running backs, but they didn't. And I don't think that's necessarily McVay's fault. I just think that he doesn't have enough horses right now to get them over the hump. So
there is one move you can question, even though we're both fans of him. Bringing Allen Robinson was not the move to make, especially when you consider they trade Robert Woods, who now accounts for $12 million of dead cap on their team. That's a lot of money you spent on wide receivers when you have Cooper Kupp already paid at how much?
Yeah, well, I think that you're right. I don't think that anybody foresaw that maybe Allen Robinson, everybody was like, well, he's just being misused in Chicago. Well, maybe he's just done. Because he dropped 2 passes this weekend. Wide open passes, so you're right. And they paid him a good chunk of money. So, I just think that there's a lot there that isn't McVay's fault.
No. And to move on, one of the coaches I'd like to see be retained, and this is an easy one. I told this one to you, and you said, well, I was going to use him, but I won't now. It's Dan Campbell. They're struggling, yes, but they were in teardown mode when he got there, and they're still building up. What's the old saying? Rome wasn't built in a day. You're not going to build an NFL team in a day. They have a lot of talent, but they still have pieces missing. Their secondary has been struggling. They had one of their best games of the year this past week, defensively, against a struggling Packers team. Is that a sign that, hey, things are turning around, defense is starting to get going? I believe they removed their DB coach. I believe they fired him. Is there something to that he wasn't giving them the right coaching? We'll find out, but I don't think you can get rid of Dan Campbell considering everything they've done to overhaul this roster and everything they still need to do overall. Who is one more coach you'd like to see get fired?
You might appreciate this. Zach Taylor.
I've been saying this for how long?
A couple years. And a lot of it's the same thing with Brandon Staley. I just don't think that he's a good situational coach. That offensive line there, and they dumped a ton of money into it. Let's face it. They dumped a ton of money into the offensive line in Cincinnati. But it's still not where it needs to be. And you need to be doing quick hits. You've got the receivers for it. But they stand back and, let Burrow stand in the pocket, and he's going to get killed. I mean, he's already on pace for record-setting sacks, and it's going to keep going if they don't change up their style. This past weekend, they did a really good thing. They were like, oh, wait a second. We've got this running back. Let's run him. And that's not going to happen every week. But, yeah, I don't think that he's a very good coach. When I see coaches that the same thing week in and week out they're allowing the team to do, I look at that and I'm like, that's their design, and they think it should work. And so if it's not working, they want to just get rid of players instead of thinking, well, hey, let's play to our players' strength. And that's what a coach does. That's why Bill Belichick is one of the greatest coaches of all time. He reinvents his team almost every year, and he plays to their strengths. Look at Wes Welker. Wes Welker, Julian Edelman. These guys weren't good until he brings them in and makes them great because he used their abilities to the best. And a lot of coaches don't do that. And that's why a lot of coaches are unsuccessful.
Everyone could learn something if they just sat it down in a room with Bill Belichick and just listened to him. He would tell you how to run a business better. He may have never done anything that business, but he would tell you how to manage people better and how to get the most out of people. He knows what he's doing, and when you see a coach that does know how to maximize his talent, it's very clear. And Zach Taylor is one of those guys, which is why I hope the Bengals do not fire him. Keep him, Cincinnati. Please sign to Steelers fan.
That's why I didn't pick Kingsbury.
Yeah, well. I have an honorable mention for one, and this is strictly because I just want to see him use his running back better because he's so good, and it's so annoying while watching him, and this is not my guy. But Kevin Stefanski, start using Nick Chubb better, okay? What game was it? It was like a couple weeks ago. He didn't touch the ball for like 2.5 quarters.
Against the Ravens.
That's inexcusable. You should be getting calls about your head after that. But he's not my guy. I think Stefanski's a good coach. I just think he's trying to figure out this team's identity. The coach, I think that should be fired. He was just hired. No, it's not Nathaniel Hackett, even though I wanted to throw him on here too. Josh McDaniels. He was a train wreck in Denver. He's a train wreck. Almost at Oakland, but Las Vegas. This team has blown 3 17-point leads. Who are those 17-point leads to? Well, hey, one's the Chiefs. That's going to happen. The other two, the Arizona Cardinals, which are its own disaster, and the Jacksonville Jaguars, which have been struggling since week 3? Since they lost to Philly, really, they haven't looked like the same team. So there is something wrong in the head coaching. And I just realized real quick, as I'm going on this rant, who would you hire to replace Zach Taylor before I get into this?
Once again, I would look at Dorsey. An offensive-minded coach that is gonna look to maximize the talent.
No, not likey, no likey. See, for me, it's obvious. If I fired Josh McDaniels, you know what my first call would be to? Rich Bisaccia. This team believed in him. They won because of him. And you could say he is John Gruden's system. That's fine. You know what? You still won football games.
You made the playoffs with it.
Yeah. You made the playoffs. You did it with him. And you got Josh McDaniels. Oh, this will work. Bill Belichick assistants never fail. Hey, Detroit, how is Matt Patricia? Oh. New York, how is Joe? Oh. Hey, Indianapolis, how is Josh McDaniels? Oh. Denver? Well, to be fair, Denver probably told him to hire Josh McDaniels, to be fair. But this is just... It's the Raiders being the Raiders. Going for the splash instead of using their brain. Mark Davis is following his father's footsteps to a T. But who is one more coach you'd like to see retained?
LaFleur.
Ooh, I had him too, but why do you think they should retain LaFleur?
Because he's saddled with Aaron Rodgers.
Well, I was going to answer my next question. Who would you keep, LaFleur or Rodgers?
I would keep LaFleur 10 times out of 10. You think about it. What was going on with Rodgers prior to him coming in? You know,
he was being a baby. Oh, wait. No, that's still what he is.
No, he was struggling. They were struggling. And he came in and he said, look, this is the offense we're going to run. We're going to run the ball more. Well, you got Aaron Jones. And so they did that.
And H. What happens? Now.
Yeah. What happens after LaFleur comes in? Aaron Rodgers gets 2 MVP. Right? And that's because he changed his style. He coached the way that the team was built for. And he made him relevant. 13 wins. This is not going to be a 13-win season.
Might be a 13-loss season.
It's looking like it might be like that.
So here's a question I want to propose to you. At some point, do you play Jordan Love to see if you have something? Because you're going to have a high pick. Maybe you use that on a rookie quarterback.
You have to consider that. I honestly don't think that they're going to beat Dallas this weekend. And so what will they be then? 3-7?
Wouldn't they be 3-8? I'll check. Nope, they'd be 3-7.
Okay. So they'd be 3 because it's just going to be week 10. So they'd be 3-7. And unless they ran the table, which I don't think they can do. They just lost, Gary. He's going to be done for the season now. So their defense is falling apart.
Aaron Jones can be out for a bit, I think.
So I think that what did I tell you 2 weeks ago in a text that this is Rodgers last year? I just think he's going to walk away because this isn't what he signed up for. He signed up for 13 wins and everybody thinking how great he is. And I just don't think that he's capable to handle the adversity.
So do you think in the benefit of hindsight, does Rodgers go to Denver instead of coming back to Green Bay?
How so do you mean? For whom?
Would he have left the Packers? This is when we didn't know if he was going to be turning to Green Bay or going to requesting his trade. Would he have, and this is pretty much all but confirmed, the Broncos were the top pursuer for Aaron Rodgers. They wanted Russell Wilson first. Sure they did. That's why they hired Rodgers OC. Would would he have rather today have gone to play for the Broncos instead of the Packers?
I don't know. I think his ego would say yes because he's slighted Russell Wilson for years.
Just
And
kind of
so
funny.
I think that he would think that he would be able to make that offense work. Not to mention the fact that, I mean, Hackett was his OC. And so, they would basically just be, stepping in and doing everything. And the thing is, Aaron Rodgers can do everything. Like I have said for years now, Russell Wilson is limited in what he can do. And Nathaniel Hackett used to be able to, coach with the full field in play, and he can't do that now. And so I'd say absolutely Aaron Rodgers would think that he could have made Denver work.
Yeah, well, he has an ego. Oh, wait, is that breaking news? Aaron Rodgers has an ego?
Most athletes do.
Yeah. I my issue with the whole Packers situation is they are screwed. And this isn't you can get under it. If Rodgers retires, I believe his dead cap is gigantic for them. Like, no matter what, the Packers are a team that's going to be just in trouble for years to come. But it's time to move on. Do you have a care to guess who I think should be retained as a head coach? It's no one we've talked about.
Lovey?
Yep. And the only reason I'm afraid of them getting rid of Lovey, because I love Lovey, yes, I just said that, is the reason that it's kind of well established they really, really wanted Josh McCown. To be fair, we don't know if that was Nick Caserio or if that was Easterby. We don't know. But the Texans, they are a team that has way too many holes to blame on a head coach. But what's the one thing they do? They fight in their games. They're scrappy and they don't give up, which is a sign of a head coach that people have bought into. Do I believe this Texans team is a year away? No. Do I believe they're 2 years away? Probably not. But Nick Caserio had a pretty good draft in his most recent draft class, in my opinion. And they have first-round picks for a couple years. I believe they have 2 for the next 2 years in the draft with the Browns.
Yes.
The Browns are going to be giving them a decent pick. They're probably going to be taking a quarterback because Davis Mills has regressed. And Pep Hamilton's a pretty good guy with young quarterbacks. Now, you can say, hey, the Texans, they are one of the worst teams in the league. Yeah, they had to blow everything up. Their defense lacks a lot of talent. The ones they do have been playing very good. Stingley has been one of the better cornerbacks in the NFL. He's just been overshadowed by 2 rookie cornerbacks that have been locked down this year so far. Their linebacker play has been fine. Jalen Petrie is one of the best young safeties in the league that no one talks about. This team is on the up and coming. It's just a long way to come up from the cataclysm they were in. And I don't want to see Lovie Smith fired because of that. But it's time to move on. What do you have to say about Jeff Saturday being the Indianapolis Colts interim coach?
So as I was sitting there driving around listening to, sports talk radio today and listening to all the takes, this looks like Jim Irsay is having a midlife crisis. And he was the kid when he was in high school and he had the really cool Camaro. And now he's trying to relive those glory days. And so he went back and he got that mint, 1968 Camaro Jeff Saturday. And he's hoping that's going to bring back his youth, bring back the heyday when, he had Peyton and when he had, just everything going for him. And that's just what it's still. Why else would you do that? It's like, oh, Jeff Saturday was part of this generation, this team that meant so much to Indianapolis. And so we're going to bring him in and he's going to fix everything, just like that new car would, bring back your youth and make you just feel all warm and fuzzy. And, you'd get all the girls and everything else. And it just, that's just the impression that I got out of it. It's just, it's a flashy thing to, bring back the glory days.
Well, thanks for that. I didn't need the image of Jim Irsay with women in my head. Thanks for that.
You're welcome.
So I'm not against it as much as everyone else is. By the way, I do think it is a stupid decision. But the reason why I'm not calling it like one of the biggest travesties in coaching is because I just saw this work at the NHL level with Martin St. Louis. And it is different NFL to NHL. But the Canadiens hired Martin St. Louis. They played much better. Yes, did they finish in dead last? Yes, but they were a much better hockey team considering they had a much better record down the stretch with him as the head coach. He got hired, and they're playing really good hockey right now. That being said, do I think Jeff Saturday is one of those? No, because there's a lot more intricacies around the NFL and around football being a coach than there is hockey. He has so much to manage, and hey, Jeff Saturday might be the best locker room guy in the world, and maybe that's what they need. Maybe they need that guy to come in there and just make everyone smile and love life to play good football. I mean, hey, you can get lost in his blue eyes. They're gorgeous. But this is a move that says Jim Irsay wants a yes man. He doesn't want anyone that's going to disagree with him. He wants yes, sir, no, sir. Or pretty much just yes, sir all the time. And here's the thing. If that's the case, does Chris Ballard want out? Because how many teams would fire their GM to get Chris Ballard in there? It's just, this is interesting. And if the Colts go on a winning streak, no one's going to say it was a bad move. But you have to go on a winning streak or else you look like a fool here if you're Jim Irsay. But that's enough of that. Let's get into our game picks. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Thursday Night Football. This was a fun game when it happened. Falcons-Panthers.
I'm going to take the Falcons.
I'm going to take the Falcons, but man, I'm just excited. Their last game was fun. I'm hoping for the same thing. Up next, we go to Munich, Germany, where the beer and bratwurst are great, and the Seattle Seahawks take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I'm going to take Seattle.
See, I'm going to take Seattle, and I don't know why the Bucs are favored by 2.5 points right now. It seems to me stupid that they're favored over Seattle.
Don't forget, it's considered Tampa's home field. Yeah, Tampa was given Munich.
Yes, but it's a neutral site game at the end of the day. This is going to be a game that I'm going to say it. Seattle wins by double digits. If I'm not on a podcast next week, it's because I'm in the hospital.
And I'll have put him there.
I think that was clear. Saints at the Steelers.
I think I'll take the Steelers.
Give me the Steelers, TJ Watt's returning, and possibly DeMonte Casey, which would be their third safety. This defense is getting healthy. The offense is still a question, but here's the thing. When TJ Watt's on the field, that team is just better. So the Steelers will win. Now, here's arguably the game of the week. Vikings at the Bills.
I'm going to go the Bills.
Okay. I'm going to go with the shocker here. I'm worried about Josh Allen's elbow. You know what scares me about that elbow? He's going to have Zadarius Smith and Danielle Hunter coming to get it. Give me the Vikings to win. Lions at the Bears. Now, you told me this a couple weeks ago. I'd probably be like, well, Lions defense can't stop anybody. Bills offense can't go anywhere. Bears offense can't go anywhere. Now look at it. Give me the Bears, because Justin Fields is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL all of a sudden with his dynamic ability.
I'll take the Bears as well.
Yeah. This game is not going to be for the weak of heart. Children should not watch. Jaguars at Chiefs.
I'm going to take a long shot on this, and I'm going to go with the Chiefs.
Yeah, same. Now, here's something interesting. Browns at the Dolphins.
I'm going to take the Dolphins. Would I be surprised if the Browns won this? No, but I think that the Dolphins have so many weapons right now, and I think they'll get it.
So I'm noticing a trend. When I make on a video of a team, the exact opposite happens. In this upcoming video that I'm dropping Thursday, I'm going to be questioning the Miami Dolphins a good bit because I don't buy into them yet. That being said, with me making the video, I know, hey, Dolphins are going to play good football and they're going to torment me. Give me the Dolphins. Texans at the Giants. Give me the Giants. I think this is just a mismatch right now.
Yeah, I agree.
Broncos at the Titans.
I'm going to go with the Derrick Henrys.
Well, same. I mean, there's nothing wrong with going with the king. Titans should win, and man, even with Malik Willis, I just don't see the Broncos beating them. With that defense is good, but they just got rid of one of their best players on that. Colts at the Raiders. Jeff Saturday's head coaching debut.
And I'm going to go with the Raiders.
Haven't you learned not to trust the Raiders by now?
I don't trust the Colts either. I don't trust my AFC Super Bowl pick. Okay.
Well, I don't trust my NFC Super Bowl pick. Actually, I picked against both my Super Bowl picks this week. But I just want madness to happen. Give me the Colts. I want madness. The Mike McCarthy revenge game. Dallas at Green Bay.
Dallas.
Dallas and Micah Parsons might eat Aaron Rodgers. Unless Rodgers gives him some ayahuasca tea to help settle his nerves. Cardinals at the Rams in a game you cannot pay me enough money to watch.
I'm going to go Cardinals.
I'm going to go Rams. And there's only one reason I'm going Rams. His name's Aaron Donald.
Yeah, I get that. But the thing is, Jalen Ramsey has not been able to cover DeAndre Hopkins very well. The rest of their secondary is suspect. You can't tackle what you can't catch. And as good as Aaron Donald is, and he's the best, yes, he still can't catch Kyler if Kyler's running. And if it was me, I would be out of that pocket, on the move almost every play.
I will pay to see Aaron Donald chase you down. I'll pay to see that. Listen, I'm not going to tell Aaron Donald he can't do something because he's just going to do it out of spite. But yeah, give me the Rams. Chargers at the 49ers, Sunday Night Football.
Going to go with the 49ers.
See, logic dictates you go with the 49ers. This is a Chargers game. You throw logic out the window, give me the Chargers.
Who is gonna block Bosa, by the way?
They'll find a way. It's a Chargers game. Logic goes out the window. For all I know, they'll have the punter block him, and somehow it'll work. Actually, I'd pay to see that as well. Punter block Nick Bosa.
Speaking about punters, really quick, does the Minnesota punter give hope to everybody that they could be an NFL player? He had a little bit of a pooch on him. He looked just like a normal guy out there,
I mean,
kind of.
Presley Harvin, the Steelers punter, is like 265, I believe.
Beard guy. I was impressed.
Hey, I mean, if you only have to do leg day, why not? But Commanders at the Eagles. Who do you got? And why is the Philadelphia Eagles and how many points?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with the Eagles. I'm gonna go out on a limb here, and I'm gonna say 38 points.
See, logic dictates that, but I saw what Philly did to them last time. That being said, it's not Carson Wentz there. Give me 57 points. I think they're going to put a beating on them. But that's going to wrap us up. And there's one last thing we have to say. Do you remember what game we're going to be covering this week? Because I do.
Weren't we going to wait and see
The injury report for the Chargers game, and it's not looking pretty.
Okay, so I guess we're going to be reviewing Seahawks and Buccaneers.
The best team in the NFC West, baby. I'm getting punched. But that's going to do us for this week. If you like this, hit that like button. If you're new, hit the subscribe button. Come back next week. Debate us in the comment section if you want. I'll send the comments his way. He'll tell me what to say. The grammar will be much better if he says it than I do. But anyways, be safe, everyone, and have a great football weekend.
Go Hawks.